Hello everybody, I am NicoD. Today I'm back with a new SBC and it is this, the Khadas Edge2. So this is a very powerful SBC and a very small form factor. So this comes with the RK3588S SoC. So this has got 8 cores, 4 high performance cores and 4 efficiency cores. This comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM. That is a lot for such a small device. It has got an eMMC of 64 gigabytes. That is something I would have liked to see 128 gigabytes. But well, this is the Pro model and it costs a lot of money. So I would have liked to see 128 gigabytes of eMMC. Why? Because it doesn't have got an SD card reader. It doesn't have got NVMe. It doesn't have got SATA. It doesn't have got PCIe. So for that, a bigger eMMC would have been good. So let's compare it with the Khadas Vim 4 for example. So both have got 8 cores, but this one is missing a few features that the Khadas Vim 4 has. So let's start here. So we have got the USB 2 port, that is the same. Then we have got the USB-C port for power, that is the same. Then we have got HDMI ports. That is the same, except for here we have got an SD card reader. As I said, there is no SD card reader on this board. That is a pity. Then here we have got Gigabit Ethernet. There is no Gigabit Ethernet on this board, so there is a USB Type-C port instead. So with this you can use a second display. I am using this hub for instance, so it has got 3 USB Type-A ports and it has got an HDMI port and also SD card reader. So I use that in my USB Type-C port. And then we have got the USB 3 ports, that is the same. Then on the back side, here on the Khadas Vim 4, we see there is HDMI in. We don't have that on the Khadas Edge2. So the Khadas Edge2 does have a lot of ports to connect cameras and displays. So you can connect 4 displays to this. So this board is actually perfect for digital signage and kiosks. I think it has been designed for those goals because it is lacking for other goals. It is lacking Ethernet. That is something that I really need. So I bought this. This is a QNAP Ethernet adapter, but this one is 5 gigabit Ethernet. But my other devices are only 2.5 gigabits, but this is future proof. So I use this on my Khadas Edge2 to have Ethernet, to have fast access to my other devices. So another thing that I don't like very much is the heatsink and the fan. The fan is very loud, so I use this fan on top of it, so it doesn't turn on. With this big fan doesn't make much noise. This makes a whistle noise when it turns on, because it shoots air through these fins, and of course that makes a whistle noise. I don't like that, so for that, this is better. But of course, a case like this from KKSB would be a lot better. I hope they will make a case for the Khadas Edge2. So it is a limited board, but it is also a very powerful board. So for desktop tasks it is pretty good. It has got the Panfrost GPU driver for the kernel 5.10. So this is a pan fork, but it works. It is very good. I use it with the XFCE desktop and I can play games on it. I can use double displays, so I can play PPSSPP on one display at 4K and I can play 1080p video on another display. It isn't perfect, but it does work. So for such a small device, it is pretty crazy what it all can do. So I will show you the specs. We will go over some benchmarks. I will show you how I use it with XFCE 4. I will show you some gameplay on it. So here we go! So let's start on the top left and go clockwise. So we start with the USB 3 port type A. This can give 1.5 amps at 5 volts. Then we see the USB-C port for DP and also USB 3.1. It can also be used to power the board. Then we've got the HDMI output. Then the USB-C only for power. Then the USB 2 port. This can give 1.3 amps. An RGB LED RTC battery, reset button, programmable MCU, function button, power button, then on the bottom the digital microphone, camera 3, camera 2 and camera 1, and another digital microphone. Then a G sensor, then the antennas for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, SPI flash, power width modulation fan header, and as last the second RGB LED. And now the bottom of the board. So we start with the pogo pads. They are making a daughter board for this that is connected with these pogo pins. This should give this board an SD reader, also UART, and also an extra USB port. And then on the bottom we see MIPI DSi2 and MIPI DSi1, so 2 times a display. And then we have IO2 and IO1. These are special ports with all kinds of connectivity. On the left there are 2 X-Power pogo pads. So I already told you that the CPU is an RK3588S, so this has got 4 cores A76 at 2.25 GHz and 4 cores A55 at 1.8 GHz. So normally RK3588 could clock to 2.4 GHz on the big cores, but not all the SoCs can do that, so they clocked it a little bit lower, so all the SoCs would be the same. It also has got a 6 TOPS NPU. The GPU is a Mali G610 MP4 at 1 GHz. The storage on the basic is 8 GB of RAM 64 bits, 2112 MHz LPDDR4X and 32 GB of eMMC 5.1, and the Pro is 16 GB of RAM and a 64 GB eMMC. This is really limited, only 64 GB of eMMC, while not having anything else. So this has got OWOW. In another video I show how to use OWOW. OWOW is really great. You can install another operating system on it with OWOW, like Android or Ubuntu, and you can back up your image in OWOW, and you can even play some games in it. So first let me show you how I connect everything. So there is a small problem. If I connect everything immediately, it will not boot. I don't know what device it is. I've got like 4 different USB hubs. So I've got my USB-C hub. I've got my USB 3 hub over here. And then I have got my HDMI hub, which also has got 4 USB ports, which is also a hub. And in there I also have got a hub, so another USB 2 hub with all my keyboards. So there are a lot of hubs. There's also audio adapter, USB audio adapter that I use in my HDMI switch. Then yeah, there is of course my Ethernet plug and all those things. So I first have to boot with HDMI plugged in. And power. Only that. So then I have to wait until the light starts blinking, and then I can plug in all my other devices. It is a bit hard to do because you've got these buttons and you can't press the buttons or else it will reboot. It's not booting yet. And it is start booting. And my capture device says it's okay, so let's start capturing. So I can see my display, but my keyboard isn't working. So then I plug in this. So this is my USB 3 hub. So this is my USB-C hub. Oh, be careful that I don't short anything. For that I really want a KKSB case. So here my USB-C hub, which also powers this fan. Then there is my USB 3 hub, and in there I have got the connector for my other USB 2 hub that's in my HDMI switch. I know it is all very complicated. Why do I have my HDMI switch? Because I switch between this and my PC. So I can be using this. I just have to press one button and my keyboard is switched, my display is switched. So just with one button press I can switch from using this to using my PC. That is why I use all these things. So here is my Ethernet adapter, my 5 gigabit Ethernet adapter. Now all I do is put this on top of that, and that's it. So now I can work, I can log in. Let's do that. And I'm logged in to my XFC session. One problem I've got, when I boot there is no desktop background, so just do next background and it will choose a background. So to show you, here I've got my HDMI hub, so I can just press this button and I go to Armbian on my PC. Here it is. So I'm busy with making this video, so that is why I use this. It is very handy. My display does take a bit before it wakes up, and here we are in the Khadas. So I had problems with my capture device as usual. It didn't want to do 60 frames a second at 4K, only 30 FPS, while my capture device can do 60 FPS. I tried different cables and I tried to debug it, but couldn't find a solution. So I'm gonna do the frame capture at 1080p at 60 FPS. It works well at 4K without my capture device. I show in another video how to install the Panfrost driver and how to install Box86 and Box64 and PPSSPP SDL, and also how I installed the XFCE desktop. So watch that video if you want to know how I've done the setup. Here is Xonotic, one of my all-time favorite games, and this runs great even at 4K.
Triple kill.
PPSSPP also runs great. So I'm always playing Tokka 2. It is also one of my favorite games.
Got a chance of a works drive in the next season if you finish in the top two. Don't blow it. Great maneuver, kid.
Another game that I really love is Edgecraft. So not all games will work yet on the Khadas Edge2. The Odroid N2 Plus or RK3588S can do a lot more games. Wine with GPU acceleration, for example, doesn't work yet. But I am happy with these games that I've got. I don't need any more. If I want any other games, then I just play it on my PC. But I've used the Khadas Edge2 for 2 weeks without using my PC. And it was no problem. I could do everything that I wanted to do except for one thing, and that is using Kdenlive. So Kdenlive is a program that I use to do my video editing, and that didn't work on the Khadas Edge2 with Ubuntu. It does work on the NanoPi R6S. So I will have to wait for some newer software to be able to use Kdenlive on the Khadas Edge2, and certainly for it to be able to use mainline kernel. The Panfrost driver also needs to mature a lot more to perform better, but I am already very happy with what is possible. In the past no other SBC was so functional when it was new. I remember when the RK3588S came out, not much was working. Here a lot more is working. We've got Panfrost and that makes a huge difference. Before we had Panfrost, I didn't like the board that much. Now I love it. But the Rock 5B should be able to replace this for desktop. Then maybe I can make a laptop out of the Khadas Edge2. Here an example of the dual display. So I can play 1080p video clip here. So this display is in 4K, this display is in 1080p. So now I can do PPSSPP. It is running great, not perfect but it works. The video playback in YouTube is pretty perfect. Even with 4K display resolution you can watch 1440p, and even on two different displays you can watch each on 1080p. And this is with the CPU alone. Here the 7-zip decompression benchmark results. So the big bar is all cores, the middle orange bar is small cores, and the other bar is big cores. So the Khadas Edge2 outperforms them all in multi-core. Also the big cores perform very well with 2930. That compared to 2299 for the Khadas Vim 4. This is also clocked to 2.2 GHz, but it are A73 cores. So the A76 versus A73 already makes a huge difference. Here the NicoD Blender benchmark results. So the Khadas Edge2 does it in 3 minutes 25 seconds, Khadas Vim 4 does it in 5 minutes 46 seconds. The Station P1 with RK3588S does this in 10 minutes and 10 seconds. And the Banana Pi M5 does this in 16 minutes and 37 seconds. Here are the transfer rates. So the eMMC read is 309.7 megabytes a second. Pretty fast. The eMMC write is 152 megabytes a second. The USB 3 read is 412.2 megabytes a second. That is pretty good too. USB 3 write is 388.2 megabytes a second. The USB-C read is 401.2 megabytes a second. And the USB write is 391.3 megabytes a second. So it all performs well. It is just lacking an SD card and NVMe. And as last, the power consumption. so 2.16 watts idle with nothing plugged in, and maxed out 7.8 watts. For this performance, that is great. It consumes as much as an RK3588S, but it is almost double as powerful. It doesn't overheat, but the fan goes on at 50 degrees, and it is a noisy fan, as I said. So I am using that big fan, and with that it doesn't go over 50 degrees Celsius. So now my conclusion, the Khadas Edge2 is really an awesome board. I am very happy to have had it, because I'm still waiting on the Rock 5B. The Rock 5B should be better for desktop tasks. This board is more aimed towards kiosks, for digital signage, or for object recognition. For tasks like that, it is near perfect. Even to make a laptop out of it, it is perfect. But for using it as a main desktop, that is a bit limited. Of course, it isn't made for that, but I use it for that. So I hope the Rock 5B will be able to replace this for my desktop needs. It has got NVMe, so that will be great. I am missing NVMe a lot on this board. Such a powerful SOC, but no NVMe. It does have got good USB ports. So that is good that it has got 2 USB 3 ports, one type C and one type A. I've loved using it as a main desktop for 2 weeks, but I went back to my PC during the day, and during the night I am using the NanoPi R6S. The R6S plays video as well as the Edge2, but it doesn't make any noise. So for that a KKSB case would be welcome. It is also a very pretty board. And Khadas knows how to make pretty boards, so I will probably try to make a laptop out of it. So that will be it for today. Thank you all for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel. See you all later. Bye.